Hi there! Hello to our math wizards, our mathtinics, and to our mathtalino kids out there. How are you? I hope you're feeling good and well while watching our video today. So, I'm Teacher Isa and I'm going to have another lesson for Mathematics 5. We are now at quarter 1, week 4, and we're going to discuss multiplication of fractions. So, are you ready? So, if you're ready, let's get started with our new lesson. But first, let's have a quick review about our lesson last week. So for this activity, use grouping symbols to make each equation correct. And for this one, letter B, solve the following using the GEM-DAS rule. Okay, so as we all know, boxes can be split into all kinds of sections. So can you tell what fraction is shaded in each box? Okay, so we have a quick motivation here. Okay, can you tell what fraction is shaded in each box? Alright, so another review. I'm going to present to you the following problems to review the learners regarding addition of fractions. Okay, so we have here, for letter A, find the sum of 3/4 and 3/4. And for letter B, add the fraction 7/14 plus 7/14 plus 7/14. So how do we solve this fractions or using the addition of fractions? Okay, so first let's have the 3/4 plus 3/4. So for step 1, okay, we have same denominator. So what we're going to do, so since both fractions have the same denominator, which is 4, we can add the numerator. So 3 plus 3 is equals to 6, and then copy the denominator. Now 6/4 is what kind of fraction? Okay, so 6/4 is an example of improper fraction. So when do we say that a fraction is improper? So when the numerator is greater than the denominator. So what are we going to do with this improper fractions? We're going to simplify it by, how do we do that? So 6/4, okay, so we divide it by 2. Okay, so 6 divided by 2 is 3. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So now, still it's an improper fraction, but it is in its lowest term. So what are we going to do? So we're going to convert it into mixed fraction. So 3 divided by 2 is 1. 1 there is the whole number, and then the remainder will be the numerator, and then copy the denominator. So the answer is 1 and 1/2. Okay, so how do we simplify the 6/2? So we have here a clearer and with a visual representation on how we simplify 6/2. So you need to find the greatest common factor, or the GCF. So let's look at the numbers. 6 and 4 both can be divided by 2. So divide both the numerator and denominator by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, and then 4 divided by 2 is 2. So again, we get an improper fraction, but okay, it is in its simplest form. Okay, so what do we need to do is to get the mixed number. So this is what we're going to do. Convert to a mixed number if needed. So in this case, we need to convert it. So this is an improper fraction because the top number is bigger than the bottom number, or the numerator is bigger than the denominator. So we can change it to a mixed number. So how many times does 2 go into 3? So 2 goes into 3 one time. So that will be the whole number, and then the remainder 1 will be the new numerator, and keep the same denominator. So it will be 1 and 1/2. So our final answer, 6/4 simplified. Okay, a simplified improper fraction, 3/2, and as a mixed number, it's 1 and 1/2. But I know in math, we didn't, hindi tayo kumukuha, or we don't accept improper fraction as our final answer. It will always be a mixed number or a proper fraction. So okay, that's how we solve our first example, 3/4 plus 3/4. So this time, let's add the fraction 7 over 14 plus 7 over 14 plus 7 over 14. So step 1, add the numerators, which is the top numbers. Since all the denominators are the same, which is 14, we can just add the numerators. So 7 plus 7 plus 7 is equals to 21 over 4. Okay, we are over 14, so which is the same denominator. So, and our answer for step 1 is 21 over 14. So next thing, we need to simplify the fraction. So now we simplify 21 over 14. So again, find the greatest common factor, or the GCF, of 21 and 4, which is 7. So we divide both ends with 7. 21 divided by 7 is equals to 3, and then 14 divided by 7 is equals to 2. Now, step 3, convert to mixed number. So again, 3 over 2. Gawin natin ulit yung ginawa natin kanina using how do we convert improper fractions to mixed fractions. So how many 2 are there in 3? So we again have 1. So 1 is the whole number, and the remaining 1, because 3 minus 2 is 1. Okay, the remainder 1 will be our new numerator, and then let's copy the denominator. So our final answer, okay, improper fraction 3 over 2. But for our final answer, a mixed number, it is 1 and 1/2. Okay, so this time, let us take the following problem given in our review. So you're going to use fraction bars to illustrate 3 over 4 or plus 3 over 4, or 3/4 plus 3/4. So now we use this illustration. Okay, so that is 2. Okay, multiplied by 3/4 is equals to 3/4 plus 3/4, or 6 over 4, or 3 over 2, or 1 and 1/2. Now this time, can you rewrite, okay, 7 over 14 plus 7 over 14 plus 7 over 14 as product? So the answer would be 3 times 7 over 14. So it is equals to 21 over 14, or 3 over 2, or 1 and 1/2. Okay, so now how are we going to make a rule in multiplying a whole number and a fraction similar to the given example? So multiply the whole number to the numerator, then copy the denominator. Okay, so we have here multiplication is repeated addition. Multiplication of fraction has a similar concept as in multiplication of whole numbers. The product of a whole number and a fraction is, okay, A multiplied by C over D is equals to AC over D. The product of a fraction and a whole number is C over D times A is equals to CA over D. The product 1/3 times 9 means 1/3 of 9. So for any fractions, A over B and C over D. Alright. Okay, so unlocking content area vocabulary, same as what we've read a while ago. So again, multiplication is repeated addition. Okay, we have here the product of a whole number and a fraction. So this time, let's visualize multiplication of fractions using models. So, can you visualize what is 1/2 of 6? And what is 1/2 of 2/3? Okay, so we have here an example. Okay, for example 1, on their TLE class, Ria bought 2/3 meter of cloth. She used 1/2 of it in her project. Now, how many meters of cloth remained? Okay, so let's try to visualize and use visual models for this example. Okay, so we have here Riza's cloth, and she bought 2/3 meter. So she used 1/3 meter and left 1/3 meter. So here's a visual model of Ria's cloth. The whole bar is divided into 3 equal parts. Each part is 1/3 of a meter. The blue shaded part shows 2/3 meter she bought. Now the green shaded part with lines shows the 1/3 meter she used. Now the remaining 1/3 meter is still blue and unmarked. That's what she has left. Okay. So how do we solve for that? Step 1, find how much cloth she used. So she used 1/2 of the 2/3 meters. So that means we multiply. So 1/2 times 2/3 is equals to, okay, we're going to multiply the numerator. So we multiply the numerators. So 1 times 2 is equals to 2. And then the denominator, 2 times 3 is equals to 6. So the answer is 2 over 6. So we can simplify that. Divide both ends by 2. Okay, so 2 divided by 2 is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So the final answer is 1/3. So therefore, she used 1/3 meter of cloth. Okay. So subtract what she used from what she bought. She bought 2/3 meter of cloth. She used 1/3 meter of cloth. Now subtract 2 over 3 or 2/3 minus 1/3 is equals to 1/3. So Rhea has 1/3 meter of cloth left. So next, we have example 2. So multiply 2/3 by 1/5. So that would be 2 over 15. So paano nangyari yon? So how come that the product is 2 over 15? So we have here a visual model for multiplying 2/3 versus 2/3 multiplied to 1/5. So the whole rectangle is divided into 3 horizontal parts, here representing the thirds. Now 2 out of 3 rows are shaded blue to show 2/3. The rectangle is also divided into 5 vertical parts, representing fifths. 1 column out of 5 is shaded with green lines to show 1/5. The overlapping part, green plus blue area, represents the answer. So only 2 small boxes out of a total of 15 are double shaded. Okay, so how do we solve? Multiply the numerators. So 2 times 1 is equals to 2, and then multiply the denominators. 3 times 5 is equals to 15. And so the final answer is 2 over 15. So we have another example, example 3. So 1/2 times 2/5. So is equals to 2 over 10 or 1/5 for its lowest term. So how do we get 1/5 or 2 over 10? So we have here the visual model of 1/2 times 2/5. So how to understand it? Blue shaded parts represent 2/5. Rhea has 2 out of 5 equal parts. And then we take 1/2 of that amount. So we only shade half of the blue boxes with green lines. So out of the whole 5-part strip, we shaded only 1 part with both colors, blue and green. So this means 1/2 times 2/5 is equals to 2 over 10. But we can simplify, okay, by dividing both ends to 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So the final answer is 1 over 5. So this tells us that half of 2/5 is equal to 1/5. Okay, so this time let's read and analyze a word problem below. Father owns a 3/4 hectare piece of land. He planted 1/3 of it with sweet corn. What part of his land was planted with sweet corn? Okay, so Father owns a piece of land that is 3/4 of a hectare. Okay, one day he decided to plant some sweet corn, but he didn't use all of the land for planting. Instead, he only used 1/3 of his land for the sweet corn. So now the question is, what part of his land was planted with sweet corn? Okay, so let us imagine that this whole piece of paper represents 1 hectare of land. So you can have a piece of paper that will represent 1 hectare of land. Okay, so next, If this is 1 hectare, how will you represent the 3/4 hectare piece of land? So what are we going to do? So fold the paper into 4 equal parts and shade 3/4. So what is shown in the picture. Now, what about 1/3 of 3/4? How will you represent it? So fold again the paper into 3, crossing the lines as shown. Okay, so now what do you think is represented by the double shaded part? So 1/3 of 3/4. What fraction names the double shaded part? Okay, it's 3/12. So now, what is 1/3 of 3/4? So it is 3/12. So how do we get that? So again, we multiply the numerator. 1 times 3 is equals to 3. 3 times 4 is equals to 12. Or we can simplify that to 1/4. How do we get 1/4? So we divide both ends, 3 and 12, to 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So the answer is 1/4. Okay, so this time, you can now have your first activity. So use the illustration in finding the product. Okay, so let's find out if you got the correct answer for our lesson activity 1. Okay, let's have our day 3 and 4. So this time we're going to learn how to multiply a fraction by a fraction. Actually, the one that we had a while ago. So the first one with picture that is using visual model, and the solution that is fraction by a fraction. So we're going to give more examples for this part. So do you still remember how to add similar fractions? Say for example 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5. So it is equals to 4/5. So we only add the numerators and of course copy the denominator if it is the same. So do you recall the concept of repeated addition be written in terms of multiplication? So that concept still applies with fractions. So in that case, also be 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 is equals to 4/5, written as 1/5 multiplied by 4 is equals to 4/5, or 4 times 1/5 is equals to 4/5. Okay, so this time let's have an example, or let's learn more about multiplying a fraction by a whole number. So example 1, what is the product of 1/3 and 15? In multiplying a fraction by a whole number, you may consider using any of these methods. So letter A, direct multiplication, and letter B, cancellation. So for method A, direct multiplication, express the whole number as a fraction. So since 15 is a whole number that can be also written as 15/1. Multiply both numerators and then multiply both the denominators and then simplify if necessary. Okay, so this is the solution. So 1/3 multiplied by 15 is equals to 1/3 times 15/1. So 1 times 15 is 15, and then 3 times 1 is 3. So 15 divided by 3 is equals to 5. Okay, so 15/3 is the answer. Now, again, if it is in proper fraction, we're going to change it into mixed numbers. So because 15 is divisible by 3, so we get the whole number as an answer, which is 5. Now, method B, it's by cancellation, expressing the whole number as a fraction before cancellation. Express the whole number as a fraction, then examine if there is a numerator and a denominator that can be both divided by their greatest common factor or GCF, and then reduce them into lower form. Okay, so you may use slash symbol to indicate cancellation. Cancellation helps in reducing the factors without the burden of multiplying large numbers. Multiply both numerators and then multiply both the denominators, and then simplify if necessary. Okay, so this example is done by the cancellation method. So 1/3 times 15 is equals to 1/3 times 15 over 1. So since 15 is divisible by 3, we cancel 3 and 15. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 15 divided by 3 is 5. Now, we multiply the numerator and the denominator. 1 times 5 is equals to 5. 1 times 1 is equals to 1. So the answer is 5 over 1. So we get a whole number. 5 divided by 1 is 5. So the final answer is a whole number, which is 5. So by cancellation, 15 in the numerator and 3 in the denominator can be both divided by the GCF 3. That is, 15 divided by 3 is 5 and 3 divided by 3 is 1. So number 2, immediate cancellation. Also another way is to apply cancellation right away. Then multiply the whole number by the numerator and then keep the denominator and simplify if necessary. Okay, so since 1/3 times 15 is the same as 1/3 times 15 over 1, you may cancel 3, the denominator, and 15, the numerator, and then proceed to multiplication or multiplying the numerator and its denominator. So 1 times 5 is 5 over 1. Okay, divided by, or 5 divided by 1 is 5. So number 2, we have multiplying a fraction by another fraction. The first one is multiplying a fraction by a whole number. So for this one, we are going to multiply fraction by another fraction. Multiplying a fraction by another fraction does not only imply repeated addition, but it also implies taking part of a certain number. In multiplying a fraction by another fraction, we may also use direct multiplication and cancellation methods. So we have example 5. What is 1/2 of 4 over 5? So solution, visually, this is how 1/2 of 4 over 5 looks like. So it shows that 1/2 of 4 over 5 is 2/5. And 1/2 of 4 over 5 may be expressed as 1/2 multiplied by 4/5. Through multiplication, there are the ways to solve the problem. So method 1 is by using direct multiplication. So 1/2 times 4 over 5. So we multiply directly. 1 times 4 is 4. Then 2 times 5 is 10. So 4 over 10 is the answer. And then we're going to simplify. Okay, divide both ends by 2, which is their GCF. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and then 10 divided by 2 is 5. So for method 2, we use the cancellation methods. So 1/2 times 4/5 is equals to 1/2. Okay, we're going to cancel 2 and 4 because both are divisible by 2. So 1 times 2, okay, and then divide both sides by 1. So 1 times 2 is 2, and then 2, and then 1 times 5 is 5. Okay, so the answer is 2/5. Okay, so we have here example 1. Okay, 2/3 times 1/5 is equals to 2/5. So numerators are 2 and 1. Thus 2 times 1 is 2. The denominators are 3 and 5. Therefore 3 times 5 is 15. The product of the two fraction is 2 over 15. So for example 2, we have 5 over 6 times 2/3. So that would be 5 times 2. Okay, multiply the numerator. 5 times 2 is 10. 6 times 3 is 18. So we can divide both sides by 2. So that is the GCF of 10 and 18, which is 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5, and then 10 divided by 2 is 9. So the final answer is 5 over 9. For example 3, cancellation method can also be used in multiplying fractions. This can be applied if the given fractions have greatest common factors or GCF. So now let's take a look at the given examples. So 1/2 times 2/5. So we cancel 2, okay, and then cancel common factor using GCF. The GCF of 2 and 2 is 2, and then proceed to multiplication. So cancel na, that would be 1. Magiging 1 na yung 2, change na natin sa 1. So 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 5 is 5. So the final answer is 1/5. Okay, last, I think this one is the last example. Okay, so 6 over 10 multiplied by 2/4. Now cancel the common factors using GCF. The GCF of 2 and 10 is 2, and then the GCF of 6 and 4 is 2. So cancel na natin, divide by 4. 6 divided by 2 is 3, then 4 divided by 2 is 2. Now cancel both ends, 2 and 10. 2 divided by 2 is 1, 5 divided by 2 is 5. So yun po yung mga nasa outer na number. Then now we proceed to multiplication of the numerators and the denominator. So ano na yung nasa labas? Yun na yung ating i-multiply. 3 times 1 is 3, and then 5 times 2 is 10. So the final answer of 6 over 10 multiplied by 2/4 is equals to 3 over 10. Okay, so what time is it? It's activity time. So it's time for you to have an activity and try it out, okay, if you understand, okay, on how we multiply fractions. So basically, it is multiplying the numerator by the numerator and the denominator by the denominator. So you can use the cancellation method, especially if check the numbers if both have a GCF, okay, the greatest common factor, then do the cancellation method. Or you can use the direct multiplication. So, and then after that, simplify, okay, your answer. So the lowest term will always be the final answer. So you're going to solve for the password. Princess Hannah is in need of help. For her to escape from the bad wolf, she needs to solve the password, which is the name of the wolf. By solving the following problems about multiplication of fraction, let us help Princess Hannah to decode the name of the wolf. So for lesson activity 3, the 1, okay, the previous one is lesson activity 2. So find the product, okay, for letter A, and then answer the following for letter B. Alright, so let's check if you finally helped Princess Hannah to escape from the bad wolf. And okay, we have here the answers for lesson activity 3. So even if we have the answers here, please try to solve, okay, and follow the solution. So on the first few slides that we have there the step-by-step process on how you're going to solve fractions or multiplication of fractions. Okay, so I think you can do that very well. And let's have your takeaways for this lesson. Okay, what I've learned about multiplication of fractions. Then you can go with your reflection on learning. Of course, we always have our formative assessment. So for letter A, you're going to use illustrations to find the product. And for letter B, multiply the following fractions. Alright, and that's it. So I would like to say thank you for being with me for the past 30 minutes. I hope you understand how we multiply fractions by using visual models, and at the same time multiplication of fractions by a whole number and multiplication of fractions with another fraction. So thank you so much. Okay, so if you don't understand, try to repeat again, okay, the video. So because the more it's like reading a story. If you don't understand the story with first reading, then read it again and again and again until you finally understand the story. So same thing with our math lesson. So if you don't understand it after watching it for the first time, you can definitely go back again so that somehow it would be clearer in the second or in the third or fourth time. So just don't give up on learning. All right? So this is Teacher Isa. I would like to say thank you so much for being with me. So I hope to be with you again, and please be with me again for our next lesson. So thank you so much. Goodbye and God bless.